welcome to the coaching game. I'm going to bet that, that we're doing Coaches Creating Change today.
We
'Cause
are.
I have the lovely Terry Yoffe
I
to my
am,
right.
and we will be talking about change
and dilemmas. And I'm going to do a disclaimer, I guess, a little bit of a disclaimer. What we're trying to do is actually Terry and I both brought each other dilemmas we thought we were facing as coaches, and we went, oh my gosh, can we do a show about this? And we said, yeah, we can do anything, and we're hoping we can. And we're going to really try very, very hard not to make it political, not to make it divisive. We're going to try, but if we do, we're going to punch each other, and we'll straighten ourselves out. And so a little bit of leeway, but we're really trying hard. And if we're searching for words, that might be the reason why. So we're going to get started. Are you curious now?
Yeah.
We're getting started.
Wow.
We are. We have no idea how this is going to go.
Given the conflicting environment, turbulent times, divided world, country, there is a question and a conversation that we are both sure is being had everywhere. And the question is, how do coaches navigate today's turbulent times?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
So far so good. We're doing it. And I'm going to give you, I have a small issue that came to my attention, and then Terry has a global one, of course. So we'll start small and go to the big thing. But that was the question. It's like, what is the role of a coach? And when things are going fine and smooth, we know our role. We know this is our goal, and you're the client, and we want to, expand your horizons and take you to places you've never been before, and etc. It's not so clear when your core values get involved. And then you try to match your core values to the ICF Core Competencies, and you go, oh my God, now what am I supposed to do? So the thing that I brought to Terry, which at this point she labeled it benign, and it is compared to what we're her issue, was I was in the process of watching some people be trained. And they were doing, it was the first time they were going to be coached and everything. And they were doing group coaching, and one-on-one coaching, and they're just practicing. And at the end of that, one person said, I had a problem. What this gentleman said, and then she said, oh, I'm sorry, and she apologized to him. But what he said was so against what I said, what I feel, what I believe. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't coach, and blah, blah, blah. And the answer she was given was, you know what, you'll take care of that as the training. We'll deal with that as the training goes along. But the answer was never given at that point. It's just like, but my problem was, what do you do when someone is so diametrically opposed to what you believe deep down in your heart? How do you handle that? I mean, I really strongly feel you don't call them out in public. In public, you might call them out personally, but you don't. That was there must have been such a better way to handle that, but what was done was so I started thinking, what do you do? How do you handle that when somebody says it's something that you can't agree with? What's the role of the coach? What is your thought on that?
So this is the smaller part of the
It is small. I've admitted it. Benign,
so we're
she
starting.
says.
So for me, although I have never had that happen, my gut would be, if you are coaching someone that brings up issues that are so diametrically opposed to your core values and your way of thinking, and more core values, that really gets to the heart of questioning your own core values and what's important to you. There are several ways you can, which I don't think is possible, put aside your core values because you are there for the client, which I personally do not know that that's possible. Or alternatively, you say to the client, look, Joe, or you get, I think, question, what exactly is this person saying? So you want to get to the core of what's going on, because what you think you hear and what this person is saying might not be the same.
Right.
So you want to be really clear as to, okay, they made a statement, they said something, but what does it mean? And if in the end you see that clearly this is a conflict of interest for your core values, they're not aligned, I believe that how you serve the client is to just simply say, you know, Joe, after our conversation, it appears to me that this is not, I do not feel I could serve you as a coach, given where you're coming from. I would suggest that you find another coach who might be more in alignment with what your beliefs or thoughts are. That's simple. It's, again, part of core competency, which is communicating effectively, direct communication. I think you have to be direct with a client if you do not feel that you could serve him in good faith.
And another form of, that's such a good point, another form of direct communication would be to say, you know, what you said kind of offended me based on my values. Now, you need to know that's where I'm coming from. I know where you're coming from, and leave it up to the client. Do you feel we can serve each other? But if it's really, as you say, testing your core values, then I'm gonna quote Roy E. Disney, whoever he or she may. I guess it's a he. He may be.
Right.
And I'm not sure I agree with what he says, but his quote is, "It's not hard to make decisions once you know what your values are." I don't think that's true. I think it's very difficult because there's so many elements, but it does guide you. It does definitely guide you. It's like, boy, my value is, I personally know that I've had some of my values since I was a teenager, and they haven't changed and they're not going to change.
Right.
So I doubt. I'll leave room for possibility. But so that's another direct communication. But I think if you don't, see, my problem was that she called him out. But now that you mention, I think if you don't call it out, or at least you don't state your point, then you're violating the trust and intimacy core value too, because you're establishing trust. But if you're holding back and going, what a jerk this person is, but I'm going to coach him anyway, then that's just not coming from the right. Yeah.
And also, I might challenge you to one thing you said, which was, well, this is how I feel, which is great, direct communication. Well, what do you think? You're leaving it up to the client to then say, oh, we could coach, I have no problem, which might not be true for you.
Ethically, you're right. I think it might lie with the coach to decide.
I think it's up to the coach to not turn it to the client and say, gee, given what you've said, did you think we could coach together? Well, the client might say, oh, yeah, I think so. And that could also be not true.
Yeah.
Because I am not sure that when core values come into play, that you can negotiate them. And it doesn't mean, because I have had clients that for a specific reason, which was a very good one, push the envelope a little bit on their core values. And I got that and I understood it. And it was there to benefit them. And that's okay. You have to be able to live with yourself. And at night, when you go to bed, nobody's there in the dark, say, I lived up to what I believe. And I'm not sure putting that onto the client who might have an agenda. Gee, I want to coach with this person. I'm going to say, sure, I can coach with you. but somewhere along the way, it's got to come into play. It's got to come into play. I don't believe, and again, my own belief, is that you can separate who you are, what you stand for, from, oh, I'm a coach. I can put that on the back burner.
Well, this is going. I agree with you. I agree with me, and you will realize there are going to be no clear-cut answers today.
No.
I will interject something else. It's like, I'm in an interracial relationship, and I said a long time ago, it's like I will never understand what it means to be black, and you won't understand what it means to be white. However, our job is to teach each other. So. And again, you could have a reciprocal where it's like, here's my view, here's your view. I'm willing to listen to your viewpoint, and I'm a coach. You don't even need to know my viewpoint. But it could be a matter of learning also. So it could be, yes, I agree the decision maybe should lie with the coach, but then again, maybe it should be a reciprocal. But I think I'll reverse what I said in the beginning. Don't leave it up to the client because they don't know. They're just there to, whatever they're there to do, maybe get a raise, maybe get a new job, a new relationship.
They have more at stake than the coach does.
Exactly.
Unless the coach is desperate for clients, which...
that's never a good reason to coach.
It's not, but
to
we don't know
what
what people... look for and what goes on with them. I don't, if you're a coach, you're a coach. It's a word. That's all it is. It's what you
you're
bring.
Right. It's how you define it.
Right, how each person defines coaching.
And I think you probably had this in CTI also, which is where she was trained. I was trained IPEC. Button pushing. It's like, why is this person pushing my button? It tells you so much more about yourself, not the person. So it can be, even if you say, you know what, I don't think this is going to work out, and I'm going to recommend you get. You need to take some. What's the value of this? What did you learn? It's like you may learn that, wow, this is a strong core value, and I'm not changing for anybody or any money or any situation. Or it may be, wow, maybe I'm a little too rigid. Whatever you learn.
Right, exactly.
So
and then you have to reevaluate.
Make it a learning experience or a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's jump to the
big one.
The bigger one. Without the client, how do coaches navigate today's turbulent, divided, conflicting environment? What is their responsibility to themselves, more so than to the client? It's about how do they show up? What if you're on one side of the fence and not on the other side of the fence? And, it's not that, I don't know, one side is good and one side is bad. But if you have a certain set of beliefs that you align with the environment, and they might not be the positivity of the collective voice. How do you separate that, if you can, from your ability to coach in a way that ultimately, as coaches, I have several thoughts. One is you've got to be true to yourself. That's it. You only have yourself. And you have to be true to your own core values. And do these core values not only align with who you are and how you show up, but as coaches, you've taken an oath to be, if you are part of the International Coach Federation family, their core competencies. And certainly the first one is meeting ethical guidelines and professional standards. So, and then the third one is establishing trust and intimacy. How does all of that, again, I'm navigating here my words, how do you do that in a way that you can live with yourself? and then ultimately, so it's about serving you as the coach, and standing in your core values and aligning with ICF's core values, and then serving your client.
Right.
And that's, I believe, where we started a bigger conversation that I believe is happening. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I believe it's happening.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And to piggyback on what you said, you know, and I know, and every coach out there knows that you don't easily become a coach. You have to rip your values apart and decide what's good and what's bad, and there are no good and bad, but decide what's right for you and follow thank God there is ICF, and follow the guidelines. So when you're out there and you're supporting something that doesn't follow the guidelines, how do you maintain your image as a coach? I mean, how do you maintain the whole reason you became a coach? If indeed things are conflicting with what coaching is, you know, and that's the hard one. Can we mention the public aspect of what brought this to your attention? We don't have to name or even where you saw it, but
something had come to my attention that I had to take a step back and look at it and say, wow, because it wasn't even, ironically, even though the conversation was probably happening, it wasn't in my awareness to a great degree.
Yeah.
Because I guess stupidly, I couldn't imagine. Although I think somewhere it was there, and it gave me pause for thought as to, wow, what is this bigger conversation?
Yeah.
And I brought the concept to Laurie, and she said, yeah, I think, and I spoke to some other people. And because it's not our usual show conversation monthly, it is a little different. So we agreed that we were going to be brave and courageous and vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And present this in a light that wasn't pointing fingers, was more of a broader conversation.
I think as Terry said, and we were talking before, it's easy to see what's up here, but it's what's going on under the water or the bar or something. And I think I think people are being challenged every day. It's like, well, I believe this, but then I'm following this, and so I think the challenge is how do you stay true to your core values? How do you maintain yourself as a coach and have conflicting views of what you say you want to do as a coach? How do you do that?
Well, you know, when we looked at this, it mirrors our clients, because when they come to coaching, here's the water level, and they're up here. They see all this. They don't see the sub-basement and what's going on under here that's doing this, right? So they're inner of what's going on, and they're looking at their outer, and they're saying, I didn't get the promotion, I didn't get the raise, I'm not doing well. Well, what's going on down here? And I think it's the same thing. Again, I'm treading lightly here for coaches. You know, to be up here and work with your clients is great, but if something else is down here, how do they align? If they align, I'm going to read a quote, if I might, from Gurdev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. When your faith and devotion remain intact and unshaken during turbulent times, then you do not feel the unpleasantness of the situations. Faith becomes your anchor during these difficult times and keeps you steady, which is a great quote. However,
Easier said than done.
Easier read than done.
Read than done, yeah, exactly.
Because it is, and we keep repeating ourselves, I know that, but we don't have the answers. We're not here to say, gee, aha, we have an aha moment.
No, we want to make people think, because
So
it certainly made us both. My
right.
little incident and Terry's big incident really made me think. It's like, okay, how committed am I to being a coach? And your incident actually made me think. It's like, how public do I want to be with my personal feelings? Because, as we all know, social media follows you everywhere, and you can't take it back, and you can try, but so it's like, do I really? And I'm a little reticent to, do the Facebook, LinkedIn thing all the time. It's so I don't really publish anything that I don't think I would want. But yeah, so it's going to make me think a little bit more now. It's like, wow, how in alignment am I to myself and to ICF and to IPEC that taught me how to be a coach, and in your case CTI. Where does personal end? It shouldn't end, though. I think that's the problem. It really shouldn't end and then you become professional. I think you've got to bring your core values into whatever you do, and if you're a banker or if you're a child care giver or whatever, I think you've got to bring those core values in. And they're constantly being challenged.
Yes, and I, again, trying not to bring my own judgments in here.
Yeah.
Trying to keep this really pure. I don't know, because you're a coach is a label, right? It's just a label of what we do. Who we are is what somebody is attracted to coach. It's not, oh, I'm Terry Yoffe and I'm a business executive coach. Those are labels. But again, if you take the labels away, it's your core values. Who are you? And what attracts a client to you? What's going to make them coach with you? And again, it comes to they feel safe. They feel they can trust you. And if a coach has several things going on within them, that they have a belief system about something, and yet, as a coach, that belief system is not part of the coaching, right? Then how do you show up being true and honest to yourself to coach them in a way that's going to serve them? Again, where I know we're being a little vague, but it's because
purposely, on purpose.
Yeah, purposely.
Because we don't. There's already enough division, and we don't want to go. Oh, well, this is for
right. We're
this
not
party
pointing
and that party
fingers,
and blah, blah, blah.
or it's a question, and that's what it is. Is how do we, as pillars of what we do, come to what we do in a way that represents our profession, what the ICF believes in, and what we believe in as coaches.
Right. I'm thinking that if I were out there listening to us fumble around with words, I would probably I wouldn't turn the channel. I would go, okay, I'm getting interested. But I'm thinking, one, because you're right, coach is a label, and what you think a coach is, and even what I think a coach is it could be totally different and with someone else who doesn't know. So I think, one, you have to define what does coach mean to you? What values are you going to bring to the table? And as Terry says, well, I say there's a million coaches out there, and I don't know, that might be a slight exaggeration, but they're getting bigger and bigger. It's a bigger family. What are you bringing to the table? You have to bring, and I tell mentees that all the time. Bring yourself, your experience, your beliefs. Bring them to the table, because that's what makes you different. And then how? I think you have to do periodic evaluations. It's like, am I living up to the standards of being a coach? And if not, I mean, because that's the beauty of coaching. Not only do you get to help other people, which is what we all signed up for, you can help, but help yourself, because you learn every time you deal with a client. And it's like, I do that, or I took care of that, or whatever. So you're constantly in a learning process also. So I think from now on, what I'm going to do is, especially you can feel it. You can feel it if something's not in alignment. I think if I get that feeling, I'm going to evaluate and go, Or if someone pushes my button, it's like, what is really going on with me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the whole conversation today is really, there was no answer.
No.
I think everybody has to bring their own answers.
But if you have the answer, do let us know.
Right. to themselves. And it's about looking inward and seeing what are our conflicts within ourselves. Are we navigating today's, again, using the word conflicting times or turbulent times, in a way that serves us? And are we being really true to ourselves? And I think each person has to answer that and look and see how they answer it.
And the more I think about it, Terry, I think maybe today's turbulent times and conflicting times is an excellent opportunity for for us all to say, like when you take your car in for a tune-up, it's like for us to say, you know what, am I in alignment here now? Because you're getting challenged. There's no doubt about it. You cannot live in today's culture without being challenged constantly. So what can you do with that? Maybe, just say, again, the evaluation. It's like, okay, what's in alignment and what isn't?
Right.
And a constant growth.
That's true, and I love that. We're going to have to get off soon.
I know.
But it's a question of opportunity and reevaluating and looking and seeing what are the challenges and how are you meeting them in today's life cycle of what's going on.
And how does that align with what you want to do?
Right.
Why are you a coach, And what do you want to get out of that?
Exactly, and maybe how do you reset a button?
Oh, my.
So anyway.
No answers, but lots of questions.
Yes, thank you for tuning in.
Yes, we'll be back. Well, thank you, Terry.
Thank you.